Property taxes are only a small portion of the actual property value, usually between 1 and 6% of the tax assessed value. So if you can buy a property for just the back taxes, you've made one heck of a deal. If you pay someone else's property taxes, do you own the property? Well, I'll give you the answer and then I'll explain it. Tax defaulted auctions are mandated by law and they're executed by the local county treasurer, tax collector, and they result in the collection of property taxes. However, if the taxes are uncollected, the treasurer will demand payment and then issue a number of default notices. If no response or payment of property tax is received by the treasurer, she will lien the property and that will be followed by a levy. And ultimately, the county treasurer will confiscate the property and then resell for at least the amount of the delinquent back taxes. This could be as low as 5 cents on the dollar, 10 cents, 20 cents on the tax assessed value. If you could buy a single family home with no mortgage or deed of trust for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar at a public auction, how many would you want to buy? A handful, that's for sure. Now, most beginners at the tax defaulted auction business have no idea that this process has been taking place for over 200 years. They don't know to find the auction or the property information or where the research should be done on these properties. I have a solution for you. I have solved the problem for beginners and newcomers, and I have student investors in every state and every county, even in many of the countries of the world, using my data. So continue watching this video and we'll give you the answers. These individuals are making generous checks, reselling the properties for big profits. For example, Paul C. purchased online from his home office, which is in a basement in his home in Utah. He purchases online at the tax defaulted auctions that take place in Michigan. As I say, Paul makes his home in Utah and he's buying online in the state of Michigan where he's never been. Many of my viewers who are just getting started feel they're trapped in a job or a profession where it's impossible to grow financially. Here's a solution. Follow along with me closely. I can assure you that you will find a few solutions in this video and you'll see how you can work part-time. So let's call that a side hustle. And you can make, like Paul, $25,000, $50,000, even $100,000 on one deal. This will be easy to understand. This is a simple business. The margin between the low auction price that you pay and the selling price could be a large profit, which you keep all the money. Let's discuss, does paying the property tax give ownership? Thousands of viewers search this question on Google every week. Another highly desired search phrase is this: if you pay someone else's property taxes, do you own the property? Well, I'll give you the answer and then I'll explain it. The answer is yes. I know this sounds like a hidden shortcut to real estate riches. Continue watching and I'll give you the details. You'll find this episode is encouraging. I'm going to dive into and explain the nitty-gritty of how all this works. And you, just by paying defaulted property taxes, could own an expensive home. You'll start with the basics. Tax defaulted real estate is usually used and abused. It's not perfect like newly built construction. Making money comes from the margin between the purchase price and what you retail sell that property. Rule number 1, the educational process is don't buy real estate as a newcomer or a beginner without having boots on the ground so you can evaluate the property, so you can see the neighborhood. I can assure you, your ultimate buyer will check and they will start with the neighborhood. Your research needs to be accomplished prior to the purchase, not after the auction. All 50 states have auction rules which are formulated and made into law by the state legislature. Those laws are passed down to the Board of Supervisors or county commissioners in all 3,000 local counties for execution. The local county will mandate that the county treasurer, the tax collector, confiscate and auction real estate properties with past due taxes. Understanding and following the state and local statutes and rules is the buyer's responsibility. The mortgage and the deed of trust loan will be eliminated. That is deleted at the auction. This does not mean the property title is clear of municipal or federal liens. Due diligence is required, although this important arena is rarely discussed except in educational videos like you're watching now. My advice is seek experienced attorneys and advisors. I personally use coaches who have experience with purchase and resale of tax defaulted property. Coaches with experience are valuable. They have worked with this type of real estate and cleared many obstacles and successfully managed the actual sale of the tax defaulted properties. Their advice and guidance is the best. There's lots of hype about owning real estate, especially when it comes to paying someone else's property tax and having immediate ownership. That is certainly the case with tax defaulted property. I'm not an attorney or a real estate broker or a financial advisor. For the record, I'm an investor, an author, and a publisher. However, I've guided hundreds of people who are investors that earn generous profits purchasing for pennies and reselling for big dollars. This episode today is all about answering the question, if you could pay someone else's property tax, do you own the property? The answer is the non-paying property owner, by not paying the property tax, has lost their privilege of ownership. The local county treasurer will give multiple notices to the official defaulted owner, multiple notices, followed by the government lien for past overdue taxes. If the notices and the lien is ignored, the treasurer is authorized by law to confiscate. That is, the sheriff move the owner or tenant off the property and auction the property at a public auction with a starting bid of at least the delinquent back taxes. The treasurer wants money to pay the county bills. The treasurer, as part of the auction, will delete the mortgage and the deed of trust loan. Here's a warning for any investor. Your due diligence prior to the auction will reveal liens and other encumbrances. The condition of the property is the buyer's concern. Caveat emptor. What does that mean? It means buyer beware. The auction from the county will provide no warranty of the property's condition and no guarantee as to defects in the title. You're probably thinking to yourself, this is not traditional real estate. Folks, it's not. Yes, it's contrarian. However, it is one of the best ways I know to build a high-income business that lets you live almost any lifestyle that you deserve. If you continue to do what everyone else is doing, you'll get what everyone else is getting. And what is that? Unfortunately for them, they're getting scarcity and not earning enough money. It's taken me over 2 decades of testing, adjusting, tweaking, and making mistakes to develop and define a perfect system. With my coaches and training program guiding you, this system will work well and it works fast. Be careful about attempting to travel through this minefield by yourself. There will be obstacles. That's why you should seek advice from experienced attorneys and financial professionals. What do? I like to employ coaches who give me real-life hands-on experience. They have learned buying at tax defaulted property auctions, and they're selling using marketing and sales strategies I've taught them. In closing, I find it amazing how clever marketers and attorneys and other information gurus manage to hype the tax lien and deed information. This is not a fantasy. It is a process that's been in place for decades. I suggest viewers seek advice.